I knew it. I knew it!
Oh man, hard and
I always said he wasn't worth shit. That he'd fuck up.
Shut up.
He had better chances catching a baby in a fucking hurricane than he was going to battle. But no! You all sent the fetus of an Ark to go fight, and look at what happened. The Decavar is gone. Vesuvia, gone.
I had no idea he'd be this bad. Besides, it's not like it was our choice at the end of the day. I think one of us could have been better than him, but the Hierarch apparently thought not.
Come on, you know it's not like that.
That's what it looks like, doesn't it? Here we are, a table full of capable Arks, Zaramitzi's in our own right, and he chose the Rube to deal with something that shouldn't have been a month-long errand, which turns out to be a fuck-up of unforetold degree. Choosing crappy leaders, having those leaders forget where their places are and not mediating anything. By inlay itself, he allowed them to fester in their own impulses, allowing them to go fucking feral on one another. And what's worse, he killed himself in the midst of battle like some sort of Decavari child.
For fuck's sake, Az, he's paying for his actions. We've been through this already.
Oh, severely.
His arms and his legs were ripped off, and his blood was sapped so his power could be returned to the Brutos. Honestly, it was a spectacle to behold.
Did you drink?
No.
He most likely is attempting to not partake in junk food.
Enough! We need not speak of punishment. You know why we're here. All of that stuff is in the past.
Which begs the question, where is Papa anyway?
Salute to the Hierarch.
At ease, gentlemen. At ease. We hardly have enough time for formalities. Now, before we begin, roll call. Casimir Eshaderi, Ark Noctis. Benatura Eshaderi, Ark Eirchs. Azurefel Raflesia Eshaderi, Ark Basicus. Zetadel Alvoyan, Ark Voyanos. Spectrixi Eshaderi, Ark Kaiser. A code machine. Reich Imperiatus Genesis. We have no active Ark Brutos, so that leaves myself, Elahryre Fancoeur, the Hierarch. Vesuvia, a planet named after my grandchild Vesuvia, has been sieged. The planet's recapturing was placed under the care of Stamoni Eshaderi, who led the campaign for 1 month and died in combat. And we all know what happened after he was resuscitated. We speak today as to what we learned about our enemies, what the current state of the Militants is now, and how we may be able to deal with them in the future. So, let us start with our loss in resources. Rye, if you please.
Oh, me now. Okay. Well, as you know, in the southern borders of our system, we have 3 main planets that are dedicated to the production of hominid organic material, or HOMS, Vesuvia, Croa, and Avengia, for both food and building components in the form of slave farms, of course. Each one is a different system, but they're all relatively close to one another. I mean relative from there to here. And some of the other smaller farm planes we have are in the east, north, and west respectively. They are of course nearby the territories of our enemies. Reason being, we have been raiding them for years, stealing their means of communicating to the monarchy and taking them to the farms. As to what we have lost from Vesuvia being taken, about 300 slave farms equaling to about 8 million slaves. And seeing as Vesuvia was dedicated to breeding humans for the means of building material, that means the prices of leather, bone, ligaments, and other various HOMS are going to rise. Not to a crippling degree, but not to a good degree either. That and of course all the staff that were working there.
I see. There was a signal sent out from one of those Decavars. The whole reason we spoke about sending troops there to begin with. Did we ever find out which one did it? Are they punished?
The ones in charge of interplanetary communications would be the Voyagos. My Dusk Angels report back that none of their equipment was used to contact So this Decavari must have used some of their own tech to call from whichever planet they were on.
I think it's safe to assume that the signal didn't come from one of those farms. As the one in charge of all those farms, and of course the Periatus Genesis, I can say with trust and pride in my men that all technologies of the Salvatide descent are destroyed entering their farm planets.
That is, of course, you're not counting before communications are cut prior to the actual raid.
Yeah, just keep on this.
And the traveling from the raided planet back to Vesuvia.
Well, that's saying that they saw us before the raids, before we cut communication orbit. How could they detect us?
Perhaps those payashis were being sloppy, Astraguses.
Perhaps simply the technology was faulty.
Well, who is it we punish for this?
We do not have enough evidence to convict anyone of this signal. Let us instead focus on what we've learned from our enemy.
Well, as my Kaisers have told
Two
me...
of which instigated in the fight.
Azurefel, stop patronizing your uncle.
Anyway, they had informed me of the Ascari, of which there were few, which upon the discussion of this campaign we predicted. Since their fleet seemed to be only a small defending group, none of their multitudes of lesser Macadine followed through. That's when most of us agreed that this was going to be a relatively easy campaign, with only a limited number of Ascari soldiers. The only things we had to worry about were around 20 of them, maybe 2 of their heavier units and their mindless laborers, which I'm sure by now have finished building their Rubik's Cube of a church they call HQ. That being said, their fleet is not a colonizing fleet. So they're gonna need imports. On top of that, more soldiers. I think we should start talking about cutting their roots off.
If they're bringing soldiers along with the supplies, it'll be pretty difficult to try and halt them. This will possibly be a massive operation. On top of all of that, with all the implications made before, about their means of communication being updated, or new means entirely, who knows what else they might have updated.
Actually, this brings up an interesting idea. An Eirchs has never done anything like this before. Assisted suicide, especially at Brutos. We all know the Guardians have always had a tendency to protect. If he were fallen to that impulse, he should have been untouchable. But as he said, he actively reduced his capability to allow himself to be at the brink of death. What if the Ministry created a device that actively harms the psyche of us? Something rattling in his brain, a noise, a nanobot, a sight, something that shook him to his very core, reverted his instincts, undid his impulses, blocked out his very gene father. Within this state, this wild, reduced state, what if in that moment they were able to kill him? Is it possible that this entire downfall was not of his own?
Has there ever been something like that in the past?
Well, in the old days, before I had begun my works in the shade, the Ascari and their masters, those of the clergy, or the Covenant as they were called, a faction our good old friend Daniel Marcus finds himself within, they were able to hijack the augmented parts of the mind of another Salvatide, allowing for mental manipulation. It's how they kept those more powerful than they in check. Their abilities in ferrokinesis allowed them to not only move metal like water, but also of the individual aspects of a Salvatide's augmentations. That's the thing, however. Their flaw was that they were indeed unable to mentally savage anything that did not have bolts in their brain.
Do you think perhaps we become too much of a threat to them? Could it drive them to create something to combat us, regardless if it is looked down upon by the more devout followers of their creed? It has been 215 cycles since we separated, and we have fought them many times before. those fights, we tried our best to keep hidden and kill or enslave all those found, killing communications or rerouting them. Perhaps it wasn't enough. Maybe they were able to gather just the right amount of information about us to make something to counter our offenses. This stray signal could have been all they needed, a chance to try their new toys.
Or that previous Arc Bruto son of a fuck could have just been stupid.
So I doubt the probability of such a weapon being created, but not its possibility. Though I personally would be very impressed at such a feat. It would show a lot of growth.
Yeah, they don't strike me as the let's learn about our enemies type. What with all the library burning they did when they tried to attack one of our planets way back when. Hell, the only thing separating them from the Obscurum Order is that they actually go out of their way to burn books. Then again, these were the Ascari of Raphael O'Neill.
Wait, so how many princes or whatever you said are there?
I don't know.
What are they again? Are they like Ascari on steroids?
The princes are a slimy subject. It is unclear if they are merely lesser idols of worship or actual beings. They may very well be a metaphor for some sort of differing Salvatai ideals. It is not hard to imagine them making these idols up, as most planets within the monarchy tend to develop their own interpretation of the Iron King. Those interpretations, of course, usually being implemented by the planet's pope and bishops.
I have not seen such an entity myself in person, but I hear of an event that took place in Guardian, a planet originally owned by the Tauranians, and then almost taken by us, when they were snatched by the monarchy. One of our operatives, an inflectile that sort of manifested there, described the event of a massive fight happening between an Eirchs and his fleet of Fae on a sort of blinding golden light, followed by a Ascari.
Who won?
I am unsure, but the description of such a golden light and the ferocity of the battle of which it was being described to me could match one of these prince fellows. It could have been just a massive mech. Either way, it was pretty damn formidable as it was being told to me. Of course, it was told to me through the eyes of an inflectile, probably some hopeless leper who got randomly infected by our lingering presence. Anyway, as far as the idea of cutting off the supplies go, I am of course for it. But I believe we should make that in addition to something. Let us attack Vesuvia's Salvatai bases while the Voyagos with their Ethaholians confront any arriving reinforcements. 2 birds with 1 stone. They are still a small force in comparison to what they will be if we allow those reinforcements to come. So, have the Voyagos send stealth recon Eirchs to the borders and to the further parts of the void. When the reinforcements begin appearing, they will give us warning, allowing us to mount an assault on them in the void. A massive attack which leaves but one thing.
Who will lead the campaign on Vesuvia's surface?
Well, it would be the Arc Brutos, as they would be in charge of defense. But you know, obvious thing is obvious.
That planet currently belongs to them, so I believe it should be me that handles them. Show them what a true Militants of Ethrafa looks like.
Send me. I'll make them feel pain like nothing else.
Speaking of pain, maybe we could just, I don't know, gas them, poison them, burn them.
No, you, Azurefel, would take too damn long. And you, son, you'd probably end up making the land unviable.
You saying I can't be quick? Like this won't be a walk in the park?
Oh, now, I don't think some acid and some tenebrine would kill the whole planet. Seems like a bit of a stretch.
Silence. I shall think on this.
Think on this?
It would be too easy to send the most experienced of us to face off such a minor foe.
Well, with all due respect, last time you said that, one of us tried to kill himself in the midst of it. I think underestimating our foe is not wise and a bit out of character.
You make a fine point, however, I wished to make this an opportunity for the lesser experience. Besides, this is not the only campaign we will be waging. Let us not forget about the Tachanians. I will decide by morning. Archvoyagos, send those recon Eirchs and prep your fleet. Dismissed.
Should we be concerned about the other two planets near Vesuvia? Don't you think Daniel will be able to decode the coordinates of those locations from our computers?
No.
Huh? Why are you so sure?
Because he's a nerd. He thinks he's like the ultimate Fae hunter because he drove us out of a planet once. A planet that was only inhabited by inflect downs. He's over here role-playing a witch hunter when in actuality he's the equivalent of a no-lifer in their room playing video games all day and smelling like garlic and despair and dry semen. I'm sure he's laughing his ass off as his so-called victory, thinking that he's discovered the source of Fae knowledge or something.
What are you laughing about, my lord?
Do you not see, Squire? This is Combiato technology. But not just any technology. Oh no, it's their bastardized variation of one of our holy computers. And should they mimic their purpose, the entirety of their blasphemous collections of knowledge can be attained through one of these rancid terminals.
It seems like a rather complicated inference, for it being a tumor in the wall, my lord.
Nonsense. The Combiato is a primitive thing. It's because of their lack of brain size that makes them immune to the king's reason. So this massive viscera should be able to easily bend to my will. Attention, foul thing.
I am awake.
Ha! It works. Tell me, computer, where are the other territories of the Ethrafa? Where is the capital?
That is very irrational.
Excuse me?
You came to a massive flesh, hidden in structure in some random room, and immediately assumed it was a computer?
Well,
How do you know I wasn't a bomb or a nuclear reactor or a button or an engine or a battery or a stove or a fax machine or a door?
Shut the fuck up. Are you a computer or not?
Yes, I am. That's not the point. I'm a tumor in the wall. I have veins on the floor. How could you assume that? I can't believe you. You assumed my function. Shame on you!
Okay, look. Just tell me what I want to know, or I'll ignite you in holy fire.
How did you know that my destruction will lead to what knowledge you seek to be destroyed too? Really, dude? Damn, you're dumb.
How am I to know? It's not like I mingle in the taverns with you Combiato abominations.
So your first thoughts of finding a tumor in the wall was, oh yeah, I'm sure it runs on Windows XP.
Can you just tell me?
Whoa, Buster. This entire time, you were being mean to me, threatening me, bullying me, so mean to a humble flesh tumor on the wall. Before I tell you anything, I want an apology.
You are insane.
There you go again. Honestly, I don't have to take this. I could just melt into a pile of flesh and blood right now. And that's it. Who knows if I was the only one on this entire planet who knows what you want to know?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Nope, you don't sound like you mean it.
No, wait. I am sorry. Genuinely, I did not know that you had feelings, so my actions were done in the thought process that you were no more an item than anything else. I'm sorry.
And got it.
Got what?
Got a video of you apologizing. Oh boy, everyone's gonna love it when I send it.
Wait, don't send it!
And send.
Why?
I'm sure it won't come back to bite you in the butt later. Anyways, I wasn't gonna give you locations anyways. I'll see you later.
Ah!